Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, another one of those guys that steps in the tank, dares to go into the tank with those sharks. And this guy got the A-Rod in the tank. I mean, talk about, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Got A-Rod in there, and I got mixed feelings about it. I want to talk baseball with Robbie right now, but, A-Rod comes over. He's got to play third base. He's a little, ticked off, but my boy Jeter's there. We're not going to move him, right? All right, that's all I'll say about it. Anyway, and what a businessman A-Rod is. I mean, truly, if you read about him and read up on him, what he's done, it's not just because he has a ton of money. He's done some really unbelievable things with his fitness centers and charity. He's done amazing work, and I have a lot of respect for him. But he was in the tank as one of the sharks for Robbie's episode. My guest today is the founder, creator of Benjilock, the world's first rechargeable padlock featuring fingerprint. This is not a security play. It's not a lock. You're going to lock your bike up. This is a technology. This is cool stuff, right? I mean, think about it. And yes, Dad, I know you're listening. It does have a key in case it doesn't work. I know you're going to freak out about that. He's, it took him 20 years to get a flip phone. Anyway, a couple of them come with the keys, so you don't screw it up. But you can even stick different, fingerprints. Your wife, your son, your daughter, you got distinct fingerprints, and it's with it saved all on a encrypted chip. I mean, this is really a really creative, inventive. And by the way, we were just talking, Robbie and I, off camera. All of my kids have 1,000 things to do, right? My daughters do dance. They do all this different stuff. My boys are in sports. They're in locker rooms all the time, and they got to be quick, jump in and jump out, right? Change and all that stuff. Perfect thing. What was the last number to the right? Oh, who does that anymore? Come on, it's embarrassing. It's won tons of prestigious awards, and we'll talk about that. 30 minutes to charge. It takes 30 minutes, and the thing's like charges for a year. It's ridiculous. I mean, wish your cell phone did that, right? So he appeared on ABC hit show Shark Tank, as I mentioned, season 9, episode 4. Robbie Cabral, welcome to What Would You Ask podcast. Appreciate you here.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much for having me over. I mean, it's, we're going through some crazy times, but hey, talking about baseball, we're in the World Series. I mean, I'm happy that we won last night, but we got to go 3 more and, excited that you're safe and healthy and let's jump to it.
Sounds good. Take us through the journey. Take us a little bit. Our viewers and listeners, Robbie, once we found out you committed to joining the show, we sent out a bunch of stuff in social media and questions poured in. Really, they wanted to find out, how did this whole business start and the invention of the product, all of that stuff, and then take that to, hey, maybe this is a Shark Tank opportunity too. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's interesting, because I personally have never seen the show Shark Tank. It wasn't even in my radar. I was born and raised in Dominican Republic. My whole life just lived there and raised by my mom only and single parent. So the whole of hard working and putting your effort into your craft, it's always been kind of assembled by my mom. And I kind of took that into play, that never expect anything. Just be you, just do yourself, do the best you can and live with the results. And back home, I guess being a single child, going through the whole puberty and teenage and going to college, I enjoy music. So my passion was always music, writing, creating, songs and all that. So at the time we had a band, and I decided to come from Dominican Republic to the States to try to pursue the music. But years into it, that didn't really pan out. Long story short, you go through a lot of ups and downs trying to find a job and all that. At the time I'm married, I have kids, and my wife is also pregnant. We don't know what's going to happen. Long story short, I end up getting a job in the whole real estate world, doing marketing, and I decided to take it. Sadly, 6 months into it, I get laid off, and it's like the worst time of the year because I get laid off in December. And the same day I get laid off, my younger daughter, Livia, which she's going to be 6 now, she was born. So that whole thing was like a turmoil, because part of me was like, this is tough. It's like you want to go back home again, but it's like now you don't, because at the end of the day, you don't have any resources. It's only yourself, your family, and your kids. Right. So basically, I felt like I needed to do better for myself. So time passed. My wife is a teacher, so she went back to work, and I'm stuck kind of like with the 3 kids. And I got depressed, I felt like I couldn't do anything, got very overweight. And one day I decided, let me do better. And I started going to the gym, And it was just like out of the blue. I'm in the locker room and someone left the key inside the locker, and the manager had to come in and bolt cut the lock. And I'm seeing a drill and all this stuff going on in front of me. And I remember at the time, I think it was an iPhone 5 or 6, they used the fingerprint. And I'm like, wow, how come there's just not a lock that you can open with your fingerprint, but also with a key? So regardless of the age, you don't have to rely on Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or anything, just very traditional, simple. And that's kind of like where the Benjilock idea was born. And I just started running with it.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. And then I'm sure as you're developing this business and product, people are telling you got to get this on Shark Tank, and you're probably going, "What the heck is Shark Tank?" Right? What was your introduction to that? Did you start watching shows? How did you even find out about Shark Tank?
Well, that was very interesting. It actually happened because when I was creating the prototype for the last 3 years, I said to myself, okay, what's the best way for me to introduce this product basically to the world? And it wasn't Shark Tank. It was actually a show called CES. And if since you've been in technology, consumer electronics show in Vegas, I did my search and it says that, you as a startup can go and exhibit and showcase your technology. And at the time, it's only myself. I'm already crunching in because all this prototype money going in and being laid off from work and don't have a lot of income coming in, basically just doing freelance work or whatever to make ends meet. I said, let's do it. So I went in with a couple friends. We all stayed in a hotel room, and we tried to make it happen at this show. I did the best I could to introduce the product, to showcase it. And while I'm doing that, that's where a lot of people were saying, hey, this should be a Shark Tank product. Have you ever tried that out? And I'm like, I don't know what it is. And I guess on the third day of the show, they had a casting call in the Venetian, which actually, I think I heard that the new season was actually filmed in the Venetian this year in a small little bubble. So incredible how things happen. But basically, they had a casting call there. I went in, did a big line. I did a 2-minute pitch, and then I kind of forgot about it. And 3 months into it, I get a cold email saying, hey, we saw you at CES and you did the Shark Tank casting, and we're interested in continuing the conversation. And that's kind of how it all started for me, pursuing the Shark Tank opportunity. Probably 5 or 6 months of a lot of back and forth, emails, videos, questions, and all that. And through that journey as well, I've always been a thinker of don't ever put your eggs in one basket. So, there was a reason for me to go to that trade show, a reason for me to network with all these people. And that's kind of how my relationship, for example, with Ace Hardware started. It was at the CES show. My relationship, for example, with my partners now, Hampton Products, it actually started at CES. So while I'm doing this whole Shark Tank, I'm also keeping all my networking and relationships fresh because you just never know what's the outcome of all this. And I did that, but through all that, the Shark Tank is very quick. And they said, hey, if you're ready, we have a spot, come this time, this date, and, let's do it. And that's how I ended up on the show, but I've never seen it. Never was a really, someone as an avid viewer and all that. I started getting into it once I knew I was going to be in it. But then I said, you know what? Let me just turn it off because then my anxiety is going to go through the roof and I don't want to deal with that.
That's so cool. We are speaking to Robbie from Benjilock. You guys remember the episode. I have my Benjilock right here. I want to show you guys. I mean, first of all, look at the packaging. It's like, do you need to, it shows you everything, shows you the lock, gives you really good, clear description of what's going on. I mean, really slick. And the technology is awesome. And by the way, they don't forget the Shark Tank on the side either. So really cool stuff. Excited to have Robbie on the show. If you want to, quick programming note, if you want to have a question answered by your favorite Shark Tank guest, head to our website at whatwouldyoulask.com and just join the community and you can send your questions in and we'll hopefully get them on the air. Look, I need all the help I can get. You guys know me. So let's talk about the Sharks. You had a countryman, right? You had your guy with A-Rod being there. He's from Dominican Republic. Do you know that, Robbie, ahead of time, that who the Sharks will be there? And did you have an idea or a feeling that I'd like to get one with a specific shark, a deal with a specific shark?
I mean, I remember in my case, you kind of don't know until like last minute, and you have no idea what's going on. You just have to kind of be prepared. And I remember that you prepare yourself, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to be yourself. Just be you. That's kind of what I remember to this day. That when I step into the Shark Tank, the everything is rising, the anxiety because you don't know who you're gonna pitch, and then you step into this room and you have to kind of like wait a minute before they, turn on those lights and start recording. And I guess that's where a lot of people kind of choke in that moment because it's like, I'm prepared, and all of a sudden now you gotta wait a minute.
Yeah.
And at that time I remember I'm like, whoa, this is scary. And then you join in and you see A-Rod on one side. I'm like, whoa, wait, that's A-Rod from back home. And then you see all these, powerful entrepreneurs from, Barbara Corcoran and Lori Grenier and Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary. And at the time too, I was like, that Kevin guy, he's gonna kill me because he's looking at me very straightforward, no smile, no nothing. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
That's so exciting though. So you go out there, it's you do your pitch. I mean, you said you haven't watched it. I've watched it a few times, maybe like 6 or 7. You're spot on. I mean, your pitch was good. You seem to kind of, once that was done, you seem to relax and answer the questions and knock it off. We know, and the listeners and viewers have heard from other guests, we get the edited version. So we hear, Mark ask a question and then Kevin ask a question. We also know that's not reality. We've heard from many of the entrepreneurs that dared to get into the tank that there's a lot of talk going on. There's questions being fired all over. There's crosstalk between sharks saying, hey, what about this? I thought you'd like something like, and then there's other, so it's a lot more of a firing squad than just a very respectful question and everybody waits for your answer. Tell us about that. Once you were done with your main pitch, the Q&A, was that a firing squad for you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that before you even jump into it, they kind of tell you that a lot of shows go in. Some people only last 10 minutes, others last up to 3 hours. And I remember that mine was like 44, 45 minutes. And then I think they shrunk it up to like 15 minutes in the show, but it was a 45-minute battle. And it was interesting because, again, since I've never seen the show, I kind of went in and I was just myself to it. And I said, I don't have nothing to lose. I was laid off from work. I already invested all this money in this product and this idea. And I went through a lot of turmoil in my household because of trying to make this idea happen. And I was just myself. And I think that's what really helped me out, because in that moment, there was a lot of Q&A questions about the product and the size, and if you have the patents on it and the technology and where you at in the moment. And at the moment, I thought about licensing because the opportunities were there, but I kind of, as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, well, I'll just raise the money and do it myself. And one thing that I really like about Kevin was that he was very clear since the beginning that, you have a great idea and all that. And I can see this idea going from the locks to other technologies such as the door and et cetera, et cetera. But, are you willing to license? And maybe there's a way that you can, do it yourself with a partner instead of trying to do it all on your own. And we can put you all the money in the world, but you're going to compete with a lot of companies and you're just like a one-man army. And you've got into this far so good. And, is that something that you're into? And I'll say, you know what? It's something that I wouldn't mind doing. And that's kind of how it all started. And he was the first one that, put an offer. And then the other sharks also partner up. Barbara and Alex partner up. It was tough for me to decide. Lori Grenier was very exciting too, to take the technology. Even though Mark Cuban got out, people don't know this, but throughout the episode, he was very guiding me in the right way. And one of the things that he did told me was that he was very proud of me that I actually didn't win the route of trying to get money from the Indiegogos of the world or the Kickstarters, that he actually felt that trying to do it on your own, even though it was hard, it actually pays off better because you're at least at the end of the day, they like what the entrepreneur goes through. And if they're able to go through all that and then get into the tank, that for them is kind of what they really invest. Is this in the person that are they gonna be able to go through all the ups and downs and still stay the course?
Was it difficult for you to not go? You decided to go with Kevin, and we'll talk about what happened post tank in a second. But was it difficult with A-Rod? A-Rod was interested. You and he were having a very good kind of back and forth, at least from the time we saw. He tugged on the heartstrings a little bit with you, and he understood your plight in many ways. You guys definitely had a synergy there. You obviously must have felt that. Was it difficult? I mean, you got to do business, and we understand you made a business decision there because your heart was certainly maybe leaning the other way. Is that fair?
It was fair, yeah, because I think probably everyone in the whole episode thought that I was gonna go with A-Rod because he's from back home, and believe me, part of me wanted to, part of me also wanted to go with Lori Grenier because she was getting something very exciting as well, and Barbara Corcoran as well. She was great. And it was tough to decide, but I think there was a couple things that Kevin really touched with me right away, was because when I went into the show, I brought a guitar. And since I used to be in a band, I always thought, you have a van, you're locking all your instruments on the back with a lock, and then you're going on a little tour, things like that, road trip. Sure. And, he asked me right away, why the guitar? So I kind of explained him on why. And I had no idea that he actually loves playing guitar.
Yeah.
So we had that connection right away. And then also, he's into photography and creativity. And I'm a very creative guy. So I think those were the things that really connected with me on a personal level. And, and also kind of like when he tells me that, licensing, think about it, that kind of hit me in the heart right away, because I felt, okay, I think he gets me. We're relating each other into a lot of other things that besides the business, but he will be the person that I feel that when it comes to business, he will be the right fit for me.
Yeah, I also love the fact that he mentioned in a few interviews that I was able to read post tank that he didn't invest into Benjilock, he invested into you. And he doesn't only think, he thinks that, first of all, let me just preface this by saying he thinks the product is awesome. That's, definitely his feeling. But he said, in one of the interviews I was reading, he said, I invested in Robbie and we're going to do many great things together. Like he was talking about Benjilock, and we're going to talk about where that is and what's going on with that today. But he was thinking, what's next? What's next? What's next? I think that kind of, commitment from somebody like, Kevin O'Leary is really saying something about what he thinks of you, right?
Yeah, no, and that was the beauty of it, that he kind of realized that, this is not like a one-time product, because a lot of the Shark Tank products is just maybe one-time thing and that's it. He had the same vision as I did, that it's gonna go from just a small lock, and thanks to the partnership with Hampton Products, that really helped us leverage the portfolio. So, we go now from the regular invention to now you have a TSA travel lock, even though right now we're getting hit really hard with this whole pandemic. But we can also venture into the smart home with the door locks, and then also expanding into the bike lock, which is coming out as well. So everywhere that we can adjust the fingerprint and key technology, he knew that there's a big potential there, because not everyone wants to be connected. Not everyone wants to be, due to privacy situations and things like that, to each its own. And that's why I think that the technology in Benjilock is simple, but it actually fits a niche.
I want to talk about the Hampton Products International CNBC show that you were on. We'll talk about that in a second. The viewers wanted to understand. So you leave the tank. We know pretty much the listeners and viewers are very accustomed to hearing the fact that you're going to go see the psychiatrist. Once you walk out, you're going to jump in the golf cart. Probably takes you to the other room, and you do your confessional over there about how you're feeling, all of that stuff. You head to your trailer, etc. And maybe some of Kevin's people meet up with you to tell you what's next. Tell us what was next. And again, we'll talk about what the product's like, how it evolved today in Hampton Products, but tell us what immediately happened post-tank.
I think you're spot on. That's kind of what happens. I mean, when you get out, you have a psychiatrist that kind of, how did it went? I said, you know what? I was actually good. Like, because I was myself, it was scary and all that. There was a lot of anxiety. I had anxiety too with the prototype because at the time the product was just a prototype. So I didn't know if on the show was going to work or not. And if you see the episode, when I put my finger in it and it actually pops, that's when I had my relief. And when that happened, I was like, you know what? I got this now. Because I was, that prototype, it was a pain in the butt because, it was working, not working, was charging, not charging. And I felt like, man, I've got into this place so bad. And then I hope this bad boy doesn't end up failing. But he ended up working. So, the psychiatry part of it was great. Then from there, you get part of the team of Kevin that comes in and meets with you and all that. And then they tell you, that they're very busy, that they might be in touch with you later on. And I was straight up with them. I told them, you know what? I don't have nothing to lose right now. I actually did this show more for myself, for my family, because I felt that, going into the tank, even to this day, I feel like it was the best move that I did because it's tough when you're inventing a product because even the people around you, your family and all that, a lot of the times they don't believe in what you're doing. And it's hard, because you don't have the financial coming in, only money is going out.
Yep.
And you don't have that support that maybe you feel that you should have. And it was tough those 3 years. And I felt that when I went in and like all these entrepreneurs and all these, Shark Tank, powerful people actually said, hey, I'm in, I want this. That's when I felt like, you know what? The money is not a problem. Is that someone actually believed in what I was doing. And that was like my American dream for me there. Like it was, I was happy, excited. And I told him, if it works out, great. If not, I'm going to keep pushing forward. And long story short, I think it was great because they love the passion. They love the innovation. And then from there, we started nitpicking at those agreements. And that's kind of how it all evolved. And then my relationship with Hampton Products was there, but not to the level of having Kevin involved and bringing the CEO, Kim Kelly.
So did that happen before that happened after your show aired, right? Or did that happen before?
Okay. After, yes.
So let's talk about the airing. What happened on what they call the Shark Tank effect? Did the website blow up? What was that chaos like? Tell us.
That was the worst. I'm sure you got this already, but oh my God, that website of mine at the time, I'm trying to do everything on my own and I have no idea what's the deal. And all of a sudden that website blew up like in a minute, out of business, blown up, done. I mean, it was embarrassing. I mean, I was like talking with someone helping me out, bringing it back up, and it was just a hot mess. That's the Shark Tank effect. So, for me at the time, when I look at it, it didn't really matter if it blew up or not because I didn't really have a product in the market that you had to buy. At the time, it was just an invention, a prototype.
That's right.
That I already kind of built up a lot of, awards in it and patents and technology and all that. I just needed someone to help me now take it to the next level. So at the time, it was frustrating to have your website and everything kind of like, boom, you're done. But looking back at it, I wasn't really selling anything. So, so, but yeah, that happens. That's like, if anyone is going to step into the Shark Tank soon, or you're still cooking that up, make sure that if you're actually selling product, be prepared because the search is coming. It comes. Yeah.
It's a great tip. Everybody take heed of that. So Robbie mentioned his relationship with Hampton Products International. He had kind of percolating prior to even the Shark Tank. They're a manufacturer of security hardware, door locks and padlocks, etc. If you guys, I want to tell you this right now, a Google alert. Go Google CNBC, Benjilock, and Hampton Products. It's really a cool, little snippet of what happened in Robbie's journey. I'm going to let you take it away, but ultimately, you guys decide, or you decide that we're gonna partner together. Tell everybody about what happened with Benjilock and Hampton.
Well, they saw the technology at CES when I unveiled it the first time, so they were curious about it. Then we were in touch for a bit here and there, and we kept that relationship there, but nothing really moved the needle. And I understand, because when you're trying to create a partnership, you have to make sure it's the same as your investor. They have to make sure that you're really going all in, or they do the research and they go like, well, this kid used to be a musician, is he gonna you know not really work on this? Or no, I'm the type of person that when I put my mind into something, I don't let go. And if I really have a passion for it, like I do, I'm in it for the long term. So those were the things that everybody was still kind of, asking themselves, if this is going to work out. They also, as a manufacturer, they need to take your prototype and then, basically destroy it and see how they can take that now to, design for production. And that's where the toughest part is. And also, there's a lot of, product development that goes into it. And I mean, it's incredible. That's why I actually, for me, licensing was the best direction to do, because then you don't have to deal with that really big headache, especially now that, manufacturing is tough because of the whole tariff situation. A lot of the manufacturing from Benjilock has been moved to Taiwan and other places because it's taking a toll on everyone. And, so those are the things that me and Kevin, we don't really have to deal with. But at the end of the day, when you're building a brand, you have to be there for your partners. So long story short, there was a lot of people interested, but we felt that Hampton was the company that was very hungry to take this innovation and also kind of take it to their company and build a portfolio of products. They saw the vision, they saw the technology, they knew that they had the kind of like the forte to bring it to market the right way. And as long as Kevin and I were involved, which we still is to this day, then it was going to be a great relationship.
That's awesome. That is, congratulations on that, Robbie. That is so cool to see. It was, folks, I told you, just get out there. It shows Kim Kelly, the CEO of Hampton, presenting Robbie with, I guess he called it your first royalty check for $100,000. And obviously, he's talking about all the things he told you, all of the things that were going on in his life with his wife and his lost job and child. And I mean, 3 years of trying to put this together. And, the journey of when revenue and money is going out and nothing's coming in, to stay that laser focused on your mission. I can tell you, folks, I've been through it a little bit myself, but to do what he did is just unbelievable. Because most people bail. I mean, you got to go and do something. I can't focus on the lock. I got to go, get a job and do even something I don't want to do, right? Because I got to do for my family. And when you can continue because you see the light at the end of the tunnel, that is something that's unbelievable.
And believe me, Nick, I mean, we all go through it. It's tough, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like you have to think about, okay, not every day is going to be the same. But if you dedicate a little bit of effort into your craft every day, you dedicate a little bit, and then you kind of focus on your family and everything around you, that little bit, I'm telling you, it does go a long way. And what I've learned is that a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people tell me, hey, how do I start an idea, or how do I, take it to that next level? I just say, hey, you just have to learn how to execute. So every day you just put a little bit of that effort into it and it will go a long way. But, as we know, a lot of people say, yeah, I'll do it. And they don't. And that's where kind of like the 99.9 that make it are the ones that actually
stay with it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to stay with it, because if you don't, that's where you feel that all that hard work that you've done goes to waste. And a lot of the times I wanted to quit. Don't get me wrong. We all get that moment of, oh, man, I think this is it. I just think that this is the time to quit. This is the time that, but I've learned that, you have to take a deep breath, let that day go. If the next day you're feeling the same way, and then the next day you're feeling the same way, and you kind of see a trend, then maybe your gut is telling you that the passion kind of has, left your body and time to move on. But if the next day you wake up and the passion is there again, then don't quit. You have to keep going.
A few more questions and I'll let you go. First question is, what is it like working with Kevin O'Leary? What have you learned from him? Tell us a little bit about what that's like.
It's been great. I mean, he's been hands-on since the beginning. I have to say that I'm kind of lucky in a way, because I believe I may be probably the only company in his portfolio that it's kind of like a one-man army. So it's like, still to this day, I work from home, but I'm still very involved with my partners. I'm still very involved with product development and everything from the brand. And so to work with him, it's been a blessing because he's been a mentor. He's been there for me anytime I need a call with him. He's there. Anytime I need him for advice, he's there. And so it's great. Tell you the truth, it's been a bit of a blessing because I grew up without a dad, so it's been kind of like that father figure, mentorship, investor too that I can't say no to. It's been a blessing. I think that my gut and in the moment of the tank told me to go with him, and now I know why. So it's been great. I mean, again, maybe in the show they portray him as the bad one and all that. Maybe other companies may not have had the same relationship as I do with him, but at least for me, it's been great. I can't complain.
I've had a bunch of entrepreneurs from Kevin's team, and one of the things that they say about him is, one, he's, what comes across is the fact that he's a very disciplined investor, right? He's not going to just invest in anything. There's been times where he's been emotional, and even then he apologizes and says, I can't, I feel for your certain situation, but I still can't invest in it because it's business, right? And he separates the two. I've always respected him for that. And plus the entrepreneurs, Robbie, that we've had on here, they feel the same way about him you do. And he said, that he gets us all together, and we love being part of each other because we have resources now that we can bounce things off of. And they're really, I mean, it's amazing. The one is the TV, impression of who Kevin O'Leary is. And then you talk to people that know him and the people that engage with him, and they're like, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I wouldn't change the person I have. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, he treats every company in his portfolio like family, and we tend to get together every year. This year we couldn't do it because of the whole pandemic, and then all the companies, we bounce ideas out of each other and how we can help each other out and all that, and it's great. I mean, and again, it all goes back to, it helps to have someone that is straightforward, because sometimes you as an entrepreneur, you might be doubting, is this the right way? Should we do this? Should we do that? But, if you have someone that can help you here and there to kind of tell you what he feels, that helps out. And besides the Shark Tank and all that, I do advise every entrepreneur here that is listening that, always seek mentorship. Mentorship was a big thing for me while building the product. I used to, do the local meetups and meet up with other entrepreneurs. I don't know if they have it in New York, but I know here in LA they have what they call Score LA, which is part of the whole small business. Mm-hmm. They offer free mentorship to any entrepreneur that wants to kind of bounce ideas. I still do this to this day. I mean, mentorship is key because all of us, we're going to go through a lot of ups and downs, and it's not as easy as they make it look on TV. Every step of the way that you keep growing, every step, something it's more difficult and more difficult, and more personalities that you have to deal with. And especially when you're a little startup dealing with corporate, it's a whole different ballgame. So mentorship is key. So
that's cool. Mm-hmm. Last couple things for me. Any memorable moments in the tank, maybe something that was off air, or some kind of interaction you had with one of the sharks? Anything you want to share with us?
Oh boy. That's funny. Well, I'll say, there was one funny moment, a lot of bouncing back and forth between, and I think it's part of the episode, but maybe they didn't show the whole thing. There was a lot of bounce back and forth between Mark Cuban, Lori Grenier, and Kevin on why I should take him, why I should invest with Kevin and not her, and why should I invest with Kevin and not A-Rod. And I remember he said, to A-Rod that, hey, you're coming from baseball, you're learning into the business, you're not there yet. He's not your guy. This is your guy. And so he guided me a lot. So I applaud Mark Cuban for that. He was a great person to have in that moment. Awesome. Off of it, I did had a chance to. I remember going through documents and all that with Kevin's team. And I had a chance to meet Robert Herbajek, I think is his name.
Herbert, yep.
And, he heard about the episode and all that. And then he tells me, wow. So the one time that I actually have a technology or product that I would have loved to invest, I'm not in that episode. How come? And I said, you know what? I have no idea. But But I remember that nugget from couple days after the show.
That's pretty cool. That's good stuff. And folks, little secret, Mark Cuban and Kevin are pretty tight. I've seen them in many interviews together. They do a lot of public speaking together. They don't call me enough, but that's understood. Last question from me. I want to just know what's going on today. What are you up to today? What's next in the roadmap? Anything you could share with us from the entrepreneurial spirit that you have?
Well, it's exciting. From the Shark Tank to the CNBC to CES, we finally have had our, the lock that you have in your hand. That one just came out a year ago. And again, it's just building steam little by little because it's still a technology that people are still, trying to get used to it from your gym lockers and traveling and all that. So we expanded from that product to a TSA travel lock to a door lock to now creating a bike lock for your bikes and all that. So it's expanding. I mean, now we're going to have a portfolio of 4 or 5 different products. And it's exciting. It's still a baby, compared to a lot of other companies. But just again, it kind of goes to that little by little. You put that bit of effort every day. And again, it's not bad because I know a lot of entrepreneurs don't like sharing their ideas. And they don't like it's just my baby and everyone else step out. I'll give you this advice right now because I've been it right now. It's not bad to share your idea. It's not bad to partner with others, whether it's you're an investor or with co-founders or with partners that can help you leverage your product, your technology, your distribution, et cetera, et cetera. If your gut is telling you this is the right fit, then go with it. If your gut is telling you I'm going too fast, this is not going to work out, this doesn't look right, then don't do it. But it's not bad to share your idea to the world.
Robbie, thanks so much for sharing the journey, but more importantly, sharing the business, best practices and life lessons, quite frankly, that you've had to go through. We have many people that are inspiring entrepreneurs and some that are hoping to walk down the Shark Tank alley, if you will, into the tank. And you've provided a lot of helpful tips for those, and I appreciate it. And also, congratulations on all your success. Guys like you deserve it. You worked hard, and wish you the best. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much. And just keep pushing. You're another entrepreneur just like myself. And, even to this day, I'm still going through it. It's not as easy, but again, just keep pushing your voice, your platform, and things are going to happen. So I truly appreciate for you having me on.
Thanks, Robbie. We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second.